So I don't know how many of you know this, but I like to think of myself as a writer, by which I mean I think about lots of stuff that I should write, but I don't actually write a lot of stuff down. But luckily, I actually started writing some stuff down quite recently. Basically, I'm in my head anyway. I'm planning this massive fantasy saga, sci-fi fantasy saga type thing, and no, don't expect it for a few years anyway. It's mostly crap anyway. And I've written a few chapters of the first book. Not much. I really like. I like every now and again I'll get into a writing mood. By every now and again I mean every few months, and I'll just write for about a week, and like every night I'll just write, and then I won't go back to it for months at a time. So I decided to properly concentrate on it this year to try and hopefully get a first draft finished by the end of the year, because I'm actually in college and doing stuff. And the model is, it's not really there's not really much of a plan, really. It's kind of like the Dresden File books, actually. It's kind of like there is an overall arc, definitely, but they are more or less standalone. Sort of detective-y stories, actually, but with more of a team. I actually had this idea before I started reading these books, and I read the books, and I was like, this is exactly the sort of stuff I want to write. So, anyway, and yesterday I started this thing, and I started to do this plan out. I hadn't really planned it out; it was all in my head for the longest while. And I have a few Word files on my computer where I have bits, history bits. I have this whole timeline, 2,000-year plan, 2,000-year timeline, with the massive about 500-year gap in the middle of it, where I just couldn't be bothered to fill in because nothing important happens. I have that on my laptop, and I haven't really planned much out, to be honest. It's all in my head, but I haven't really written it down. Then I came across this site, and I think it's called Real Time Whiteboard or something. And basically, it's this canvas where you can just add pictures and things and shrink them down and put them inside one another. And I built this web overnight. I built this web, and it's got it's my plan, and I've got stories and characters and lore and all this. Because the lore is what really attracted me. Just building this lore that I really think is probably the most fun of writing, is building this whole new mythology that's heavily influenced by folklore and pop culture. I'm going to go a bit more into that in a bit, but and I just want to say I really admire J.R.R. Tolkien, because he was basically the first guy to do this, to build his own culture, and he had to do it without computers. He had to do it on paper, and he had to file them away and sort them out. That would have been hard for the guy. I really admire that, and I admire his writing as well, but I never really thought about how hard it would have been to keep track of everything. And he came up with languages. I'm nowhere near his level, and I'm having fun with it, but it's still, you still have to do your research and get bits and bobs. So basically, I did spend a good few hours last night researching werewolves, because I really wanted to put werewolves in these books, because I've always loved werewolves. I think werewolves are a fantastic monster character. Just from a design point of view, I think they're fantastic. I think the whole scary beast thing is brilliant. The idea that it's a wolf, I think, is very important, because of the relationship between wolves and humans. What a werewolf, the idea of a werewolf says about human nature is, I think, fantastic. I love all that stuff about werewolves, and so I decided to go into folklore to find the different interpretations of werewolves, and I was really entertained by what I found. I spent hours just kind of clicking through web pages going, that's a cool idea, I like that, oh, I like that type of werewolf, that's pretty cool. Especially the northern Western European werewolves, I think, are pretty cool. But there are some Eastern European ones that are also pretty cool. And the thing with the werewolf is, it's just, I've always loved the idea of a werewolf. Now, I say this, and so far the plan is werewolves don't turn up till book 3, so that's way down the line. But I just decided, because werewolves are my favourite, and I wanted to have some fun with it, kind of slide myself into this research and building a plan thing. I decided to go, right, let's build a mythology about werewolves. And there's a lot of stuff there. I thought I had ideas that were kind of semi-original, but they've been done to death. Right, there's no real way you can reimagine a werewolf. So I decided I'm going to take the best bits of pop culture, I'm going to take the best bits of folklore, and mush them together and kind of make my own Frankenstein's monster of werewolf mythology. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's spoilers for the book, but there's some like my main point is that there's two types of werewolves. There's good werewolves and there's bad werewolves. And the bad werewolf is basically your pop culture werewolf. It's the wolf man. It's the guy who loses control at the full moon, and his only drive is death and destruction. It's that type of werewolf. That's the bad type of werewolf. And then there's the good type of werewolf, which I kind of had a vague idea about. And then I came across this thing called a Phaelaw, or what's the other name for it? A Comrict, I think is the other name for it. I'm just going to keep calling it Phaelaw, which is kind of this good werewolf. It's an Irish type of werewolf, which is nice, and it really ties in because the book series is set in Ireland, and it's there's a good chunk of Irish mythology in it. One of the main characters is a Viking who landed on Ireland 1,000 years ago. Well, sorry, who was born in Ireland 1,000 years ago. It's this kind of story, and it's like the idea of a Phaelaw is it's kind of the same as where, it's a man who turns into a wolf, but he's not a bad guy. He's not, this monster. He's a good guy, basically. The worst thing the Phaelaw would do would be to make off with the sheep. Yeah, like a regular wolf would, But the thing with the Phaelaw is he's like this protector of children and wounded men and travellers, and sometimes if there's a war on, the kings in different parts of Ireland would bring in Phaelaw to help fight with them because it's good to have a werewolf on your side, And I really took that idea of a good werewolf, and I really tried to defend Van Helsing for me, because I really, really like that movie. And I think that's the kind of werewolf I like, this big, muscular kind of thing with the proper wolf face. I love that. That's the kind of werewolf I really like. And in fact, in my plan, the picture of Van Helsing as a werewolf is the main werewolf picture in my plan. I have a few werewolf pictures. I have like a picture of the Phaelaw, and I also have a picture of the classic woodcut picture of the werewolf with the woman in his jaws. I love that picture as well. As you can tell, I'm pretty into werewolf lore. And I wanted to really get into there's this whole thing about werewolf lore, and I really got into this whole duality, good, bad werewolf thing. And like I said, the Irish werewolf isn't the only good werewolf. There's this type of northern Italian werewolf that's kind of the same. There's a Swedish werewolf. In Slavic mythology, I believe, there's this great idea that I'm trying to fit in because I think it's really funny, is that you can, if a horse gives birth, you can take, I think it was the afterbirth, and kind of, if you're a woman, and you kind of stretch out this afterbirth and walk through it without touching it, you will not have pain in childbirth, but all your sons will be werewolves. I think I don't know how I would incorporate that in, but I just think that's a brilliant idea. It's completely mad, but it's fantastic. I love that kind of shit. So yeah, that's what the series is. It's a kind of a mix of, and it's a dark story, no doubt, and it's kind of a mix of the best of pop culture and the best of folklore, kind of mixed together to give this entirely very derivative mythology, to be honest. I mean, it's hard to do fantasy these days because everything's been done to death. I mean, the reason fantasy novels are so they're so kind of tossed out of hand by critics is because a lot of them basically follow the Lord of the Rings formula. Tolkien set that down. To be fair, Tolkien wasn't the first to do that. He was the first to put it in literary format, but he wasn't the first to do it. And the ones that kind of stand out and that are good are the ones that break this formula. Like these Harry Dresden books, which I love, are like they're about a detective who's a wizard in modern Chicago, which is nice. It was like urban fantasy. I really like. Harry Potter completely broke the mold of that sort of thing, while keeping in with the hero's journey type stuff. I love the hero's journey in Harry Potter. I should talk about Harry Potter more. And there's stuff like Wheel of Time. I've only read the first Wheel of Time, but so far I can see it's doing a different thing. I think it's keeping in with tradition, but it's doing a different thing. And then you've got stuff like A Song of Ice and Fire, or as most people know it, Game of Thrones, which completely turns everything on its head. So yeah. So that's my plan. Werewolves are really cool. I got really into werewolves last night. I had this whole plan thing with like spider diagrams and the main points about werewolves and good werewolves and bad werewolves. How to kill a werewolf and but it's like I said, it won't be until book 3, and I'm barely started book 1. But I just really wanted to share that with you because it was so fun to do. Oh my god, is this 10 minutes long? We banging on about werewolves for so long. I just love werewolves, and I had great fun just going through all these like Wikipedia pages, TV tropes pages, these mythology and legend type websites. I'm not sure how accurate all this stuff is, but it's like, I'm not saying it as fact or as close as fact as you can get with folklore. I'm just saying this is some really cool shit that I want to put into the books. So keep an eye out for those books. They'll be out in probably never. But yeah, I hope to get to. I'll keep you guys updated. This like half the reason I started this channel was so I could kind of blog about me writing these books, which has been hard. In fact, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to read you a short story I wrote set in this universe featuring the main character. I've posted on Tumblr a few months ago, so you may have heard it. But it's I think it's good. It's a dark story, I would say that. But I think it's good. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. If I don't do that tomorrow, I'll definitely do it sometime, because that was one of the videos I planned from the start. So I might do that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and just leave a comment about what you think of my werewolf love. I just love the idea. I prefer them over vampires, to be honest. I just think you can do so much with a werewolf. It's so cool. It's yeah. And down below you find my Twitter and Tumblr and email address if you want to send me anything. Oh, and by the way, also tell me what, like, this is an interactive type thing. It's the interactive web net. So tell me, what do you guys want me to talk about aside from, you know, my failures as a writer and stuff? Because I just, what do you want me to talk about? You know, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? What do you want me to give my opinion on? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Okay, I will see you guys tomorrow, and hopefully read out that short story. Unless something huge happens in the news, in which case I'll probably be talking about that. Okay, bye bye.